Well,
Live.
we're back. You're starting to see a little bit more of the channel. We were just talking about this a minute ago. You're seeing the comments of the people, and like I've been uploading stuff for you, but I'm like, these people really dig it. And now you see, like, people pay attention. They like the stuff you're meeting out there. You know.
Yeah, I don't read the comments, but I was kind of uh, pleasantly surprised that people actually like what you and I have to say, and they appreciate it. And so obviously that's making me want to do it a little bit more. If people like it, then obviously it makes you feel more comfortable about doing something, and some people get benefit from it. That's always a good thing, and that is actually what's actually happening. So people actually enjoy our conversations and our line of thoughts and our expertise in the areas that that we know, and so it's good, and our opinions on areas that we don't know.
Well, nobody's
Don't know
perfect.
anything about.
Well, it's not like you're ever on here being a blowhard pretending to know everything. You're saying it how you see it. And I've gotten to know you. And like when you look at an opponent, you see stuff you might not always tell me, but you're like, this is how it is. And then later I understand how you saw that. So I find that rather interesting. I know as a casual, you can't just look at a fighter. You could think, well, he's taller, he's going to win. That doesn't mean anything. You as a coach, you're going to see things in fighters that nobody sees. Right. I mean,
Well, the thing is, when it comes to my guys, yes, my guys. But when it comes to other people, I may have the so-called expert eye, but I don't have the perfect eye when it
right.
comes to like let's say tonight's fights, right? Wonder Boy versus that Neo guy. And by logic, you're thinking that more likely Wonder Boy will win. He's been in the higher profile fights. He's the better striker, or you would think, right? But then all of a sudden, go into the fight. What happens if Jeff Neal all of a sudden knocks him out? And it could very well happen. So my so-called expert eye just went out the door because I don't know those guys. I'm just thinking, the favorite would be, Wonder Boy, but I could be wrong on that. I don't know. Maybe he's not the favorite. Do you even know who the favorite is? I don't know.
I don't know either. And I just know it's going to be interesting. It was supposed to be, wasn't it supposed to be Kazmat fighting on this?
Hamzat, yeah.
Yeah, Kazmat, yeah.
Him, right? I don't know what happened to him. Was he supposed to fight Leon Edwards?
Yeah, and then
COVID. Somebody got COVID, right?
Yeah.
Leon Edwards got COVID.
I think so. And that makes it hard. That's something like, people used to, like, if they pulled out of a fight, they'd catch a lot of grief, but now you can't. It's extenuating circumstances. You can't change that. This is like life or death, and other bigger reasons than money and ratings. It's like, hey, we just can't do it.
Yeah. I heard there's another COVID strain, different COVID strain in UK, second strain.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. No, a long time ago, right before all this happened, we wouldn't taken nothing of it. Now we're like, oh shit,
right?
Let's hope this one, man.
It's like layers, huh? It's layers, and it takes. You get the shot, so it takes like a month to get the first shot and then the second shot. Is that how it works?
No, the first shot I took was I took the first shot, and then 3 weeks later I took the second shot, and then 2 weeks after that they test your levels, and they tested my levels, and I got a ranking of 102 or 104, which is way above what was needed. I hit way off the charts as far as immunity towards it for at least as long as my blood keeps checking your blood every so often to see where your levels are at. But yeah, I'm at 104, I believe, or 102. And the person that did it, they said that we tested, myself and Omar tested way above everybody else. So my immunity,
the working out,
yeah, it's fantastic, and that's good. So it worked out. And you know what? At some point, I think everybody's going to have to take the COVID test. Everybody, because how they're gonna, they're gonna make it mandatory. You need to get a driver's license to go flying. Because as it is right now, if you're gonna fly anywhere outside the U.S., right, you have to have a COVID test. If you don't have a COVID test, you cannot fly.
I took like 3 or 4 tests in a week just to make sure they hit the time window to come out and see you guys. I did have a 96-hour window. And then I got there and they gave me another test when I landed at the airport. And then I got another test when I walked in the hotel and met with you and Omar. you know?
Yeah, I've had about 30-something tests since I've been in Abu Dhabi.
Right.
30-something tests since I've been in Abu Dhabi. I have 30-something tests. Even though now, I don't have it. I can't have it. Not with my test. But they're still going to test me regardless until everybody gets good and going. So when I hear that in Abu Dhabi, when we did our test this Sunday past, which was 6 days ago, they said there was up to 400,000 already residents in Abu Dhabi that have taken the test. So the good news for people there is that there's going to be a live audience, more likely for the UFC January 23rd. But the clicker is only for people that have the COVID test clearance. So
that'd be exciting to bring that back, to bring hope.
Yeah, that's what I was told, that there's going to be audience, and that's pretty cool to have that back, because I mean it's really missing from the sport is the audience, the participation from the audience, the energy you feel from the audience is incredible, and now to be back, so we'll see. I like it. It's a step in the right direction, and let's just hope we can get back to some normalcy, in 2021. We'll see.
Your blood type, was there any, they tell you about any blood types that has superior chance of surviving? I read about this. I'm a O positive, so that says that when I read some article, I have a lower chance of catching it than the average person. I don't know. That's pretty universal blood type. It's not, it's not some rarity where like I'm stuck on a battlefield, like, sorry, we don't have anything for you.
They didn't say anything about nothing. They just said, that we just, all I asked is, I was like cattle coming in, boom, shot, okay, get out, in and out, and yeah, I didn't really ask. And I just figured it was good enough for the king, of Abu Dhabi. Was good enough for me, he took it first. But okay,
There, I mean, of course, it's not just Johnny from the street. I found this. We made our own concoction. Take this, Hob. No,
and it's the Chinese version of it too. So it's the one that's the best one. So, I think it's the best one. I'm not sure, but it definitely worked. I definitely have no side effects, zero side effects. And guess what? Probably have to do it again.
Well, here's the thing that there's on the news. There's people like, you're getting cerebral palsy or it's whatever, that thing where your face freezes up, and and people are concerned that they might get that. A lot of people are, I want to see what everybody else does first. You go first. You just jumped on it. And your reasoning sound. I mean, if royalty's going to do it, people that have the top experts, they have somebody who's really clear in the case for you, making sure.
Of course. I mean, come on, you're not gonna let it's the president. The president's gonna take it, and all of a sudden, then what next? Is who? He's the guinea pig? No way. He's not the guinea pig. No way. No way is he the guinea pig. He's the guy that's taking it because it's safe. No way is the president gonna be the guinea pig. There was guinea pigs way before him, and they've had the vaccine for a long time. It just, no one knows about it because no one talks about it. And you got all the people in the U.S., the fake news and all that bullshit going. Fauci guy goes, oh, yeah, you have to wear a mask. And all of a sudden, no, you don't have to wear a mask. It's like, I mean, which is it, Just like our stupid-ass governor in California. Oh, yeah, it shuts all the wineries, but not his winery. Shut his down. No.
Yeah, that one's COVID-proof.
Yeah, his is COVID-proof, And then, it makes everybody in the holidays not have so many of the guests, family members. But no, they didn't apply to him. No.
You really, for the first time in your life, you really question the news like 10 times more than you did many years ago. And
I never question the news. Now I do, because I see it. It was because of Trump. And Trump started saying fake news, and I'm thinking, what's he talking about, fake news, I actually thought he was the one that was blowing horn, hot air, and all of a sudden I realized I'm starting to listen, and I'm going, I used to watch CNN all the time, and because we always want to know the COVID thing, and I keep hearing this thing, and they kept attacking Trump all the time, attack. And I'm going, and it didn't add up, the things that they were saying and they were doing did not add up. And then there's some real tragedies that are happening out there, and they weren't reporting that, but they would report Trump not wearing a mask, but they wouldn't report the mass murders that was going out there in that one section. I forgot where it was, where there was a shooting and a bunch of people got killed. They didn't mention nothing about that. They had to report about how Trump wasn't wearing a mask. Well, that's more important than the mass shooting that happened. All those people got killed. No news about that. None. Zero.
Right.
Like, what the hell?
So talking to you, I mean, I think the premise of this podcast is more about you're somebody that's actually, I've traveled to see you during COVID. You traveled during COVID. We were there during Khabib's camp during COVID. You've got the shot. You know, I've stayed COVID free for 9 months now, and we're looking at this from real two guys, not some news hype, not some BS. Just a couple of guys. Like, now I know you've taken it. What are your side effects? You tell me how it is. You always tell people how it is. So now I know a truth about, hey, look, there's no side effects. Javier's face is normal. He's healthy. He's doing good. That's something that is interesting. I mean, a lot of people don't get to hear that.
Well, I mean, that's just me, though. But I haven't heard of anybody over here. I've heard this. This is what I heard that some of these guys had to redo the test because it didn't take. It didn't take. So they do the vaccine, they do the blood work, and then they realize that the levels are still too low, so they have to redo it. I have heard that they had to redo it. So, but that's the only negative so far. I haven't heard nothing else. Nothing. Just say.
But even paralleling off of this, I mean, I did a podcast with a guy, and you brought it up earlier when we were talking before we started this. Paul Varlan's one of the forefathers of the first guys in the UFC, first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 UFCs, the no rules, the no weight classes, and all that. I had him on the podcast. Now he's a big man, so he's like probably 6'6", 7, 8, and like 400 plus pounds. You know that he's in a dangerous zone to be catching COVID when you're that big. You're past morbidly. You're in oversized, obese, whatever. Poor guy.
Yeah, my prayers go out to him and his family. I mean, poor guy's in a coma and is on respirator. So I don't know. It doesn't look good, bro. Every time they're in that scenario, in the coma scenario, this doesn't ever look good. It's, I hope there's a miracle and he can pull out of it. He was my introduction into the UFC. He wasn't my fighter per se, but he trained at my gym with Brian Johnston, who was my first UFC fighter. And, I met Paul through Brian, and, Paul trained with us for a little bit, he's a great guy, man. And I just, hopefully, if God can help him pull out, and have some more quality of life, that'd be good. He's too young to be going, but unfortunately, the situation is in now, it doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look good at all. But
you've had a few fighters catch COVID since this started. A few fighters, right? I mean,
quite a few. A lot of them, almost over half the fighters got COVID. More than half of my fighters got COVID, but none of them lasted 1 or 2 days. DC had COVID before the fight with Miocic. He got it, he sparred while he was having COVID, and we didn't realize he's like all upset at himself because his performance was bad. And I'm like, your performance was good. I don't know what you're talking about. No, it's not. I don't feel right, or this, that. Next thing you know, he tested himself later that day. He has COVID, and I'm like, oh, shit. So then training had to stop. But anyways, over half of the guys, more than half, I would say 75% of my fighters got COVID, 75%. But it was like in a couple of days and they were fine. Only a few of them went bad. One of them, I am the Bay Brian, he got it. And thank God he was working out. And lost some weight, because who knows what would happen to him. He got it really bad. He had to go to the doctor. But his doctor visit was just to get an IV. That's all he needed, an IV, and he was fine. So his wasn't super bad either. So, yeah. So it's kind of like the only few people get it. My wife's mother's best friend just died of COVID, and so many people. It's just,
are you in that danger zone? I mean, like, Paul Varlan's is a huge man. That would put you in that category of most likely to go down hard. Like, you got to stay in shape if you can during these times, because a lot of these people you're talking about were very athletic. Now, Brian, since he was working out, that probably saved grace for him. he's the other camera guy. I am the babe. And, it
Who
is about,
knows?
I think that's a variable. It makes you immune system,
It does help. It does help. I know of other people that have got it and they had to have heart surgery and they were in great shape. Great shape. They were working out, and unfortunately, they had to have heart surgery, as a result of the COVID. So it's a real thing. The real thing is highly contagious. I just wish there was more unity in how they handle it, so the economy wouldn't have got hurt as much as it did. So many people lost their jobs and their livelihoods, and so many people lost their lives. And a lot of this could have been prevented, had they done it correctly. And then you think about the disaster of COVID. Not so much that you have COVID, but now you lost the business. Now you don't have a business. Now you don't know how to feed your kids. Now you got depression. Now suicidal. You know what I mean? There's so much things that happen from this situation that it's not good, man. It's not good at all. And these individuals that are running our country, they don't feel the effects. They don't feel the effects of it. So what do they care?
Yeah, they don't know what's going on in Billy or Bobby's home or over at Cindy's house. It's not their house.
They're protecting themselves. Look at Newsom. Oh yeah. Oh, these everybody's vineyards but mine. They're hazards and this and that, but mine's okay. So it's kind of like nobody else can have people at their house excess of this, but oh shoot, I oversighted. I'm sorry, I had too many people. Oh. You're the one that made the rules, but you're the one that got the rules. You seem to be breaking all the rules, and you're talking about enforcing the law and having the police come on to you. I mean, that's tough. Like I said, the lockdown, they enforce the laws and they come after you, and they came after me too, my Jim. And unfortunately, we weren't doing nothing, so it was good. But regardless, they still came after us.
Yeah, your gym's shut down, and that's expensive, and it's hard to maintain. A lot of gyms have shut down. There's some people operating at 10% county to county. It depends what your ability is. And I'm sure you could tag anybody. Oh, that's not exactly 10%. That's 10.5. You have one person too many. You know what I mean? It's silly, but
well, if they let me operate at 10%, actually I can make it at 10% because my gym's so big that 10%, I can make the bills and I can make the instructors at 10%. It can work 10% capacity for me.
Yeah.
So, but shut me down completely, and then no financial help. They have loans. Or you can pay 50% now and then 50% later. Well, who wants that? If you don't have the money now, so you're saying you're forgiving it for 6 months, but then 6 months I owe you 6 months rent.
You still owe, right?
Yeah, you're not. You're making it worse for me. You're not making it better. How are you making it better? If I'm not able to earn an income now to pay for it now, and you're saying, oh, we'll forgive it, like they did with all the rent. Can you imagine that time came up, all those people, all the bankruptcies, all the evictions, everything that's going on?
Right.
I would hate to be in that situation, and I feel bad for everybody that's been put there. But what are we going to do? You just got to, day by day.
Yeah.
Just do what you can do to survive, because it's not a good thing.
Well, we got to get fan questions started back up again to make a little segue here. We're trying to get your son to come on. I think that would be fun. That adds another flavor to the thing. And, getting your family involved with the business, that would be pretty cool.
Family business.
It's a family business.
Family business.
So
we'll see. Let's see what he wants to do. I mean, he hasn't responded to me at all. So that usually means no.
Come on my show, son. No. So what is your camping been like? It looks like you've been doing a lot of camping. How are you liking the desert camping out there?
I hurt my back really bad. I've been going like my 8th day with it. So when I was out there and doing the camping thing, it wasn't good because of the cold. And when you got a bad back, you don't want to be in the cold too much. And I didn't realize it, but after I was sitting there by the campfire and I tried to get up, my back spasmed on me. So it wasn't a good thing. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I've had a bad back for about 30 years now. So, it's not a good thing. I feel for people that have bad backs when it's like anything, right? You don't really appreciate it till it happens to you. They just start going,
oh, that's what that is.
That's what that is. I thought you were just whining, and then all of a sudden now you realize the real pain that these poor guys go through, or poor girls, and people that just go through the back pain. It's an incredible amount of pain, man. It immobilizes you. You literally cannot move.
Yeah.
Not move. It's bad, and my back's bad, but I'm managing.
Well, you're sitting around, you're getting ready. We talked about this last time, but you get a couple fighters coming up, and in between that time, you want to stay busy. A camp would probably keep you doing even more up tempo, I would presume, if you had something going on right now. Something starts in January, right?
Yeah, it starts in January, to be honest with you, because the way my back is right now, I'm so thankful that it started in January, because I don't know if I can hang. I don't know if I'd be able to hang. I really don't. I would have been really, really bad, yeah. Yeah, so it's a good thing that it's starting later, so I can give myself time to rest and, rehabilitate my back. Because even right now, I'm like standing straight up like this. It's actually good when I stand straight up like this, versus hunched over. Obviously, everybody knows that's why those balls are good to sit on for the stabilization of your back, because your core has to tighten up, and when you got a backrest, the core doesn't tighten up because you got the backrest, so it's relaxed. So
those that float tank over at the gym, that has a bunch of stuff that's good for the muscles, the magnesium
and stuff.
Yeah.
Magnesium.
Yeah. It's really good for muscle pain. It's a natural. Yeah.
I should read up about it, and then I was in there today. I should get in that thing.
I don't know if has chiropractic ever worked on you. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, no, chiropractic works. I haven't seen a chiropractor over here. I keep screwing up thinking it's going to get better on its own. It hasn't. But I think I'm pretty sure I need a chiropractor. But, it is what it is.
I just go see that guy because massage is great, but unless it's there's a couple. Trigger point will relieve it. Active release therapy, it's painful, but then it makes it go away. But most massage will just irritate it, and you'll feel sore for another 5 days, and you're like, why did I do that? I was okay before, right?
Yeah. Massage is going to be worse. You're right. I'm not going to touch the massage.
That's good. So now here's a card. I guess we had good fights last weekend. We get this card coming up. Wonder Boy. He needs to get his traction back on. And Geoff Neal, I don't really know much about him, but have you watched Geoff fight at all?
I watched Neal just on the UFC Instagram. They put fights of him. That's the first time I seen him. It's good. He's real good. But I just don't see how, if he doesn't catch Wonder Boy with a good shot, I don't see how he outstrikes Wonder Boy. I don't see it. I could be wrong. Wonder Boy's older now. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm a fan here like everybody else, so my opinion may not be spot on. I'm just looking at, the credentialed kickboxer that never lost in the kickboxing match. Wonder Boy is like probably the greatest kickboxer that we've ever had in MMA as far as record wise. He's never lost. How can you say he's not great? He's never lost. I like him.
You mean he's never been finished, basically, right? I mean, he's
he never lost in kickboxing. Never lost.
Oh, kickboxing. Zero. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're talking MMA.
I'm talking kickboxing. Yeah. No, he's never lost. Never lost. Not one loss. And 60-something fights or something like that? I mean, God, give me a break.
Right.
That's a hell of a record. Hell of a record. And and then MMA he's lost 2 or 3.
Yeah.
He lost. Yeah. He lost twice. He lost to Masvidal. Didn't he lose to Masvidal?
Actually, let's see who he's lost to. I'm trying to see.
I know twice to
Woodley.
Twice to Woodley, and then I thought Masvidal got him one time.
No, he beat Masvidal. He lost to Anthony Pettis and Darren Till.
Oh, Anthony Pettis was that step back in the cage and the Superman punch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew it was something like that. Anthony Pettis. So he lost to Pettis and two to Woodley, right? So that's 3 losses.
Yeah, Pettis, Woodley, and Till.
He lost to Darren Till.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what do you think about this YouTube stuff? We talked about it briefly the other day. You've been in the fight sport. It was pretty much a meritocracy, but then there was the whole game of fighting. People don't realize, like in boxing, they'll protect the champion until this other guy that's a real threat gets beat a few times, and then put him there when the meat's been tenderized. And MMA, it's pretty linear. you're the best. You're, 2 fights. If you don't perform, you're out. You don't perform, you're out. You're always 2 fights away from being fired or let go. And they're about to lay off a lot of people, people that were older stars that maybe aren't as exciting as they used to be. I don't know what Dana's logic is, but that does probably just to keep the UFC afloat,
Well, the logic is money.
right?
We have all these new up and coming stars that we're citing through the contenders and through, being pushed at them through other organizations, and you got these guys that can never be champions in their eyes, that they're spending so much money, and you get rid of like a Yoel Romero and you pick up 6, 7, 8 of these guys to take up for that slack of one person who's probably not their champion. So they probably, and they look at it, he's 42 years old or something like that.
Right.
So they probably look at it, well, where does he match up for us? He's already fought for the title, 4 times?
Yeah.
So what's the benefit? I mean, for him fighting a 5th time, I don't think that the people are going to buy that one anymore with him. So, and a fresh new start for him with Bellator is fantastic. There's a lot of people out there he can fight over there that Ryan Bader, you got Phil Davis. I mean, Bellator's got a hell of a roster in the light heavyweight division now as a result of this stuff happening. So they got a pretty good division over there. Bringing in Yoel Romero and with bringing in the group with Phil Davis and Bader and Musashi, they're it's a pretty interesting little group of guys over there now.
Here's a question, right? So if you look at somebody like I felt like that was the ultimate chess move by Mike Tyson, his promotion. You can put on these demonstration matches or whatever you call them. They're not an officially sanctioned fight. They are like a demo match, and it bypasses the commission. You can put one person against another, and it's like who's the winner is up to the fans, but they get to see stuff that otherwise, because of sanctioning and contracts and other reasons, they probably couldn't. This guy's got a contract, or this guy has this. Well, this is just whatever. I mean, what do you think about that move to build that promotion that way?
Well, I mean, obviously they got the 8th biggest pay-per-view of all time doing that. So, my opinion, on a negative note, wouldn't hold any water, because how do you get your first shot in your 8th all time? Are you kidding me? Obviously, there's a lot of people interested in that. Obviously, people like Jake Paul, has a hell of a big pull, and obviously Tyson, being Tyson, has a hell of a pull too to be able to do that. To fight a Roy Jones, 2 people that are in their 50s and they're still drawing that kind of attention. And Jake Paul, who's two fights now, and oh, come on, it's like whoever brings eyeballs to the screen. I mean, that's who deserves to fight. I know some people are like, well, these guys don't deserve to fight. They don't do this, that. But, well, hey, you know what? Whoever deserves to fight is whoever can create the most, interest and audience. That's a promoter wants to see who's going to make me the most money.
Right. Right.
So who deserves to be there, not someone. So someone could come in and be at that status. He didn't have to work 10 years. He went in, he got lucky, and he got all these eyeballs on him. So guess what? Whether you like it or not, that's who deserves to be there, because he's the reason why these people are going to tune in. Because guess what? You're the person that deserves to be there. Okay, fine. Put you in there. And all of a sudden you draw a quarter. You draw a quarter of what that person that you say doesn't deserve to be there. So who actually deserves to be there from a promoter's point of view?
Right.
The person that drew a quarter, or the person that drew all those other people who didn't deserve to be there according to that particular fighter?
No, it's true. It's true.
It's whoever draws eyeballs, man. Whoever draws eyeballs. Why do you think Nick and Nate Diaz are so popular? What did you do to your head? You cut your head off.
I didn't do this right here because people were walking around in the back trying to stay on this podcast here. So basically, and I'll go back to normal. My face is like disappearing. Basically, what I see is that you can hack the system with. You don't need NBC, Fox, some big company, Warner Cable, to produce your fight. Like if you didn't have $1 billion, you couldn't buy that airtime. You used to have to buy the airtime, and that was the premise to grow any promotion. So the UFC, they started by buying the airtime on Spike TV, running their own reality show. That drew the eyeballs because, Titan FC or King of the Cage or nobody had the bucks to go after and do that kind of thing, right? So those that had the ability had the, you know, way to win, right? Which later, in turn, whoever is first wins by popularity. So what I see is, how can I put this? You know, I see people, you know, you take a YouTube star with 20 million followers. Television is yielding X. One technology is surpassing the other. And there's only one person that has to make that decision, and that's one of the Paul brothers with their following. They just go online, they go, hey, I get 20 million followers. That means that even if 1% of their people tune in, that's 2 million people. You know, that's just one guy, because there's other avenues to build up your popularity today.
1% is 2 million people?
Yeah, 20 million.
Are you crazy?
Did I say that wrong?
Yeah, I think you said pretty wrong.
Yeah, 1%? I did. Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, 10%.
You're a good nonfiction type guy, right?
I need my coffee. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get slammed for this. I'll leave it in there.
Hell, I'm like, really?
But I'm just saying, 20 million people.
1% of 100 million is 1 million.
Yeah.
So he'd have to have 200 million to actually have 1%.
Yeah.
So Jake Paul, if supposedly he got 1 million followers to buy, so if he had 20 million YouTube followers, how much had to have bought for him to have that?
Yeah, quite a few.
10%.
Yeah.
So 10% of his people bought his pay-per-view. That's a huge number. If that's where they got the numbers from, I don't know. I'm just saying, 10% of his followers bought. That's incredible star power. So say whatever you want. The guy's got star power, and he can call the shots in a lot of ways. Yeah. Now, someone mentioned that I was wrong in how he went about getting the attention. Well, I may not approve of the way he got the attention, and I may never myself act on it, but out of everybody that's gotten their attention, he's done it the cleanest, in my opinion. He hasn't done it in a bad way. You know, not saying that I would do it, because I don't respect you.
You've never been that guy. It's not Khabib's style.
No,
your style.
I never will be.
Insulting
but I
people.
know what he's trying. Yeah, I know what he's trying to do, and it's throwing water balloons at somebody. Come on, you're really trying to cause some damage. You know what you're doing. You're trying to build the hype, and it was kind of funny, you know. But at the same time, too, you know, I don't advocate that, but you know, it's who he is, and at least he's been, you know, thinking about how to do something without breaking the laws per se.
Well, he's jumping the head of the line, right? And so what? I mean, he built his fame before he got here. So what do people want to see? The most famous, the most interesting, the most spectacle of a fight. So do they care that he didn't go through the Ultimate Fighter or the Contender Series and fight 10 fights to finally get to the title belt 6 years later? No. He's like, hey, I've got more attention over here. I'm going to bring that, jump in here and fight. You want to see what happens? Want to see what happens if I can hang, you know, even though I skipped to the front of the line? And listen, those people didn't have what he has if they started at the Contender Series and built up. They didn't start famous. They didn't start at the level that he's at.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, whatever. He's gifted, whether he's lucky, it doesn't matter. He comes on. 10% of his followers might come on with him. Bro, that's a lot.
Right.
So guess what? You know, more power to him. And actually, I'm wrong, because I'm thinking 10% because there's 2 million at 20 million, 10%. So it's actually more like 5% of his followers bought pay-per-view. It's still, it's 5% is still a lot.
Right.
You know, a lot.
Yeah. And you've got Tyson's poll, and you've got the mixture of who's who. Like, so when you mix all these people up, so if you build a card, Johnny's getting 1 million followers, you know, Jack has 20 million, boom, boom, boom. And you can kind of like when the UFC talks about this fight is trending to be a big one, they're looking at Google Analytics on search terms, how many times people searched UFC XXX, whatever the number may be. And they're looking at the Twitter, and they're measuring all the analytics. And that's now an interesting tool that didn't exist back in the olden days, where it's like, throw up a pay-per-view, hope somebody buys it. That's the way it used to be. You know, it was all a big gamble. Roll the dice, 50-50, bet on black, you know. It was, it's changed, you know. But yeah, so do you think that's going to keep moving or growing, that type of sensationalism, where people were like, well, I'm not a movie star and I'm not a pro athlete, but I can do my own promotion because
I can see how, if the matchups are interesting, I can see how it could happen. Like, for instance, let's just say Jake Paul.
right,
Let's say he fight Dylan Dennis.
right,
Guess what? I'm interested to see that fight.
right,
I'm interested to see that fight. Let's say he wants to fight, I heard rumored Nate Diaz. I'm definitely interested to see that fight even more now, right?
right,
Because
right.
it's Nate Diaz. And let's say, I heard rumors that he was obviously going after Connor. Obviously, everybody knows that that's on the news, and Dylan, that's on the news. And Nate Diaz has not been on the news, but Nate Diaz has challenged him, or told him not challenge him, just told him to get out, shut the hell up before you get yourself hurt. But any one of those three would be good, but preferably, if I was to have my pick, I'd want Dylan Dennis, because that's going to be more competitive. I think with Nate Diaz, Nate Diaz is kind of big load to swallow, but who knows? And anything's possible. And some rumor came out that even Ben Askren wants to throw his name in the hat. Ben Askren's good too. Ben Askren's good. I mean, Ben Askren would be a great fight, because think about Ben Askren is he's a warrior, and he's going to talk, and he's going to cause attention. Ben Askren doesn't know not how to entertain. He's an entertainer. Mm-hmm. He knows how to entertain verbally. He can make the talk. They're all different. They're all different in their own way. I think Ben Askren is the cleanest out of all those guys. The cleanest talking. They can create interest, but he's a real fighter. So Ben Askren and Jake Dillon would be a good. Jake Paul would be a great fight. My favorite two would be Jake versus Dylan. That would be my first pick. Then my second one would be maybe Askren. Then third Diaz, and then the last one Connor. And only Connor last, because I think Connor's just maybe a little bit too ahead. Maybe get Connor after you get Dylan. Maybe if you get past Dylan,
build it up, right?
But you got to get by Dylan. But if you can get by Dylan, then you can go after Connor. Or if you get by Dylan, then you get by Askren. Then you keep going after the bigger fish. Why not? I guess that's what I'm saying is, yes, I do see this happening where it could be of interest if the matchups are right. You just can't get famous guys to put them out there and let them fight. And it's got to be the right guys, And I think those particular 4 guys for Jake Paul would be great. Logan Paul, I don't know. I yet to see what's going to happen with him and Floyd fight. I honestly, I have no interest in that one whatsoever. None.
Yeah.
Zero interest in that one. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm 100% wrong, and that one's going to do a gazillion buys. But I just think of Jake going to surpass his brother, because I don't see the interest in a boxing match with Logan, who's lost 0-2, against the greatest probably boxer of all time.
Right.
I don't know.
You're like, well, we expected this, so we got this. Boring. Yeah. Right. I see where you're at. Well, what about anybody else? I mean, as long as you've been in fighting, if you were to, there's nothing like this ever existed before. YouTube star comes out, gets into boxing, fights a couple of matches. Now he says he's ready for the big time. People want to see, is this guy full of hot air? Can he handle a real destroyer? That's what the draw is. But then, you being in fighting, have you seen some of your fighters eclipsed at times when they were the better fighter and someone else got the hype, and then later they caught up? But you've seen this. You've been in the fight for this,
Yeah.
It happened to Khabib for a while. He was getting less attention, even though he was the worthy warrior, right? Mm-hmm. And it is with Islam a little bit. He's not getting the attention that what he's capable of. But that's only you that really knows it, and Khabib that really knows it. But is that enough for the rest of the world to realize yet?
The world doesn't realize how good Islam is, so the world's not pushing it.
Right.
And once he gets in that position, once he beats the solid, if he wouldn't have got that scenario that RDA got COVID, or whatever. I don't know. Was it RDA that got COVID? I think it was, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If that would have never happened, we would have seen how great Islam was, because RDA is no joke. It's no joke, but we would have seen how good Islam is. And the world's yet to see how good he is, and the world will see how good he is, but we just have to wait. We'll see
It is a hurry up and wait. Like, oh, we're gonna put your album out next year, but right now we
remember Habib went through that period almost 2 years where he had nothing because he kept having the knee injuries and then one setback after another. So hey, it happens, man. It happens. Shit happens. You just gotta put on your your work hat and go to work because your job's not done yet, and it's not done. But look what happens when you put on the work and you go to work every day like Javier does. What does he get? He gets most popular athlete of the year by the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
What honor is that? No MMA fighter in the history has ever gotten that award. It's always gone to a soccer star or a football player or something of that nature, but never gone to an MMA guy. And Habib just won that title. How big is that?
That's pretty awesome.
Huge. That's huge. That's not small. No. That's not small. It's not a small little tiny feat. That's a huge monster hit. He has got the number one spot vote out of everybody, all the athletes in the world. He was voted number one athlete.
Oh, yeah.
That's an incredible honor. Think about that. Just think about the magnitude of all these great athletes. And he got it. He got voted number one.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And normally someone like Cristiano would get it or someone of that nature.
Ronaldo
somebody, Messi or somebody, some great soccer player would get it, but you'd never see a boxer get it. I don't think a boxer's ever gotten it. I definitely know an MMA fighter's never gotten it, So I could be wrong about a boxer though, but I'm definitely not wrong about an MMA fighter because I would have heard about it. Or someone would have said, oh, he's following the footsteps of John Jones or the footsteps of, Fedor Emelianenko, you know what I mean? Or Cain Velasquez, he's following but nothing. I've never heard nothing like that. So I'm assuming that no MMA fighter's ever gotten that greatest athlete award, and he's the only one that's ever gotten it. I believe I'm correct.
You know what's interesting? I wonder if some of these leagues are going to start putting on those. What is that? The proper name for it for the demo match? There's another name for it when they put on these fights. Exhibition. Yeah, when they put on an exhibition, do you think any of the other pro leagues will put on an exhibition here and there to draw eyes once they see the power of it with these other YouTube people? Like they might go, you know what? Everything else is pro, by the line, by the rules, by the sanctioning, but this is an exhibition that we're putting on as a warm-up or at the top of the card post-fight.
It's possible they could do that because if they can get the right marquee matchups, like a Shaq, a young Shaq or old Shaq, whatever, because he likes to fight. Okay? Let's put old Shaq. Let's put him in with another basketball player. Yeah, I could see that. Because there'd be a lot of interest in seeing because Shaq's always liked MMA. So yeah, 100%. I could see what you're saying. There's a possibility. I don't know if anything like that could ever happen, but I definitely can see it happening. I mean, Michael Jordan, goes on the gloves and he goes at it, and I mean, people want to see train wrecks, guess what?
Right.
You want to see a train wreck, so yeah.
Tiger Woods versus Boris Becker. I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it, so, I mean, don't you even remember with Tyson, Peter McNeely? They put in Peter McNeely. They call him the Great White Hype and this and that. And before that, Jerry Cooney with Larry Holmes, the Great White Hope, So, yeah. Whatever they can create, and like I said, whoever deserves to be there in a true sport, it's the athlete that worked hard for the accolades, but this is not a true sport.
Right.
Fighting is entertainment sport. So whoever can put eyeballs to the screen is the person that needs to go there. Whoever can get the most audience coming.
No, you have the rules and the regulations and the weight classes to keep a level of competition that's on the measure. Once you go outside of that, you have pride of the early days. You'd have a 160-pound Japanese man versus a 600-pound sumo wrestler. You know what I mean? You would have some crazy,
well, look, they
just did,
they just did that one scenario where they had that 529-pound man fight that woman, the woman from Russia. She knocked him out. And now Bellator just signed her. That. I mean, that was a man versus a beast versus the lady type scenario, and the woman won. And of course, all she really had to do was run around and make sure he didn't land on her. I mean, come on, 520-something pounds. There's only so much that poor guy could do.
Beat him up with cardio. Run around, do 3 laps. He had a heart attack.
but she hung in there pretty good. If you watch the fight, she hung there pretty good. I mean, he was on her. He was on her. All he had to do was lay flat on her, and man, it would have been trouble. But she did pretty damn good, man. She did pretty good.
That's funny that, people are actually seeing that Hob actually does watch this stuff, because they would think, oh, he's such a coach, he's such a purist. You're like, no, I get to see what's up, right? You get to be entertained too. But it works.
Well, the thing is, it was on MMA fighting. It wasn't that I searched for it, But yeah, things like that are look, it's entertainment's entertainment,
Right, right.
Do I respect it? Yeah, and no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's entertainment. I look at it for what it is. It's entertainment. Is it something I want to do? Absolutely not. Do I want to be involved in the those type of specialty type fights? I don't want to be involved in it. No, I've been asked before, hey, do you want to train so-and-so? No, I don't. That's not what I want to do. So let somebody else that wants to do that. I don't. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't want to watch it, or I don't think it's good entertainment. It's just something I'm not into.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. It's not what I want.
Well, so you got what? Christmas coming up? Are you doing anything special? Just the routine? You and
the routine? No. Christmas is not at home. It's in Dubai.
Yeah, they have Christmas on Skype. That's the best they can do right now. But a lot of people are going through that right now. I'm not trying to make you, I know it's tough. You haven't seen your family in a while. A lot of people haven't, they're not meeting up. There's people's parents like, oh, no. The news either has them paralyzed, or, they're a high risk person and they're just being extra cautious. That's what I see a lot of here. So yeah, you do definitely, you might feel isolated where you're at. I feel isolated where I am, even though it's me and my wife, right? There's not too much going on. There's not too much of my friends popping out here. There's not a lot of that social side. At least you get somewhat of a social side,
Well, here everything's open except for gatherings. There's no gatherings. But that's coming, because they're, like I said, a lot of the people are, I think, let's see, I think there may be close to, I don't know how many million people are in the UAE, but I would think that maybe 10% have been vaccinated already.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? But
I'll tell you what that number is. How many people? Let's see. Curious. We brought this up before.
5%. There's 8 million. 5% is 400,000.
Yeah. So, 9 million people, something like that. Yeah.
8 million. I think it's 400.
Okay.
Right? Is it 400?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
that's what I thought.
It's been awesome having you on. Hav will come in with some more energy. We'll see how these fights transpire. What do you think about these cards? There's a lot of people that people don't know. There's a lot of, one of our friends, Tony, was like, it's kind of hard for me to bet on these fights. I don't know this guy's background, like he doesn't know a lot of these names. And at the same time, Dana's probably going to let go of a lot of the old names because they hold heavy paper contracts and their performance is not as competitive as it once was.
Hey, he said what he said, and when has he said that and not done it? So a lot of people are going to get cut. So,
right.
Yeah, your butt's on the line. You don't want to lose, because you may lose your contract, and you lose your livelihood with the COVID situation going on and the uncertainty of jobs and that are available and whatnot. This is a tough time to get cut, man. So, I feel bad for anybody that's going to be in that train, but there's going to be people on that train that they don't even know it, but probably on that train,
I saw Chris Weidman speaking up about it, maybe because he feels, the hatchet coming his direction, and there's a few people, like, they think a lot of, like, mid-level.
What is he on how many fight? Is he in a losing skid?
Yeah, he hasn't really been spectacular lately, so.
No, but is he in a losing? Has he been losing? I know.
Let me see. That might be a thing, right? That where is his record right now? And he was once, one of the most exciting fighters, fighting, Anderson Silva, beating the guy that nobody thought could be beat, right? Next thing you know, there he is, right? So his last fight he won, but he had he went a three loss streak, then a win, then a 2-loss streak, and then a win. So he's at that part of
he's
his career.
Huh? And he's on the win. He's still good. He as long as he keeps winning, he's good.
Right.
And then good. So if he's not at the end of the contract and they don't want him, then if they're at the end of the contract and they don't want you, that's not good. But if you're not at the end of your contract and you're on the win, you're good. They can't cut you.
Well, there's some people that have really big, like, don't heavyweight fighters usually get paid the most historically? Now they don't, but they used to. You know, right?
Used to, not anymore.
It was by weight class. So you could be someone like, you know, you're talking way back when the kickboxer, he fought Brock, from the Dutch guy. I can't think of his name right. Overeem. Yeah. When Overeem fought Brock, he had like $800,000 contract or something he signed during that fight, or something really big back then. And then he did go up and down, win and lose. But that contract was there. It was juicy for a long time. So he had a lot of payout. So there's people like that floating around with really big, you know, potential paychecks. And, you know, the UFC's going, is this analytics say what to this? You know what I mean?
Well, look at Junior Dos Santos. How many knockouts has he been knocked out now? He's in a 4-fight losing streak now. 4 fights.
There's a high likelihood he's on the chopping block too. He might, you know.
4 fights, right? He's 4 fights been knocked out, right? The last 4-0, 0-4 in the last 4 fights.
I don't know if it's that bad, but he's lost.
Pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he is.
Right, and so for him to go through this, you know, he's trying to fight that one issue with the guy that just beat him, with the back of the head hit. Did you hear about that? Cyril Gain.
No, but I can relate to what he's saying. He's probably 100% correct, and that's what caused the situation. But this is the problem: if the ref didn't see it, doesn't count, and didn't count it.
Yeah,
I would say, in my opinion, he's telling the truth. But the problem is the ref didn't see it, and if the ref doesn't see it, it doesn't matter what you're saying.
And he was really losing in that moment. I was watching the fight. He didn't really have a comeback. So whether the guy got the elbow, he probably would have got something else in. What I could see, the way that fight was moving in that moment of, when it landed, he was already stunned really bad up against the cage. Now he is on a 4-fight losing streak, and it's no hate on him. I mean, I wish anybody the best in their career. It's just like, to see that, it's tough. It's a tough place to be at that age, and you're like, where's my certainty of employment? You're not going to go open up an MMA school right now. Not in the middle of COVID, right?
No, and he can still fight though. So I don't know. I don't know.
Bellator, BKC, whatever.
One of the great ones, he's one of the great ones, and I don't know. I mean, yeah. But he's definitely on the chopping block, 100%. Anybody that hasn't performed well and has been KO'd, not good.
Do you think they're using metrics like how much output somebody's putting in the cage? And going, this guy's still performing, or we've seen a drop. I wonder if they analyze that deeply.
I think they use a lot of scenarios. I don't think it's just one particular thing. I think they use a lot of different scenarios to I think there's a lot. I don't think there's just one particular thing. The metric system doesn't really say everything about a fighter, but it does say some things about a fighter that can lead you one way or another. So I think they use a lot of different methods. Someone gets and you're out.
Right.
Jaw, the term glass jaw. So there you go. You're out because you got a glass jaw, and that's it.
Did you see that in kickboxing too? A guy would be dominant, all of a sudden he gets clipped a couple times, and it just
all the time.
Right, like it did for Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck Liddell, same thing.
Right.
He had his chin went away, and all of a sudden Chuck became old overnight. Where he was one of the most dominant fighters, then all of a sudden became not.
Right.
It happens to everybody, everybody gets old, we watch it too many times. Guys stick around a little longer than they should, and guys don't realize that they shouldn't be fighting, but the urge to fight is so overwhelming that, hard to tell people to retire.
You've always told me this. I ain't telling nobody nothing. Because you've learned, like, then somebody feels like you're not on their team and they go win a couple more fights, or you don't know. You're like, hey, you just tell me, man, you don't give anybody the bad news. You don't pull them in and
I don't want to. I've done it too many times, and it's never worked once.
Never worked out right. You never saw, oh, this is good. This is where I step in and say my opinion and then get
become the
hate
hero of the day. Yeah, no, it's I became the
enemy.
the enemy. I became the agitator. I became the I don't know what I'm talking about, coach. I became that guy. And
Right.
you know what? I'm like, I've tried for so many years, and about the worst thing I will do now is if I think they should retire, I just won't train them because then I don't
Mhm.
want to be involved. I won't train them. I said, I'm good. You go ahead, do your thing.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's what I do. I won't train them because my conscience, if they don't want to retire, I'm good, but I'm not going to train them.
How many times have you arrived at that decision over your career? How many times do you think, just off the top of your head?
Not that much.
No?
No, handful of times.
A couple
No,
times?
but it's never worked. It's never worked.
Never does.
Never worked.
Well, we'll get some more input from the fans next time. I know this is last minute. This is how you and I usually do it. You're like, let's go. And I'm like, podcast, let's go. And every week I'm reading about what's happening in MMA. I don't know everything all the time, but I try to memorize a lot. And I think the fan questions would be great. And then we'll bring those back our next podcast. What do you think?
Well, what about Duran? What about Duran Wins fight? What's his
Oh, yeah.
opponent?
Let's not leave that here, right? Yeah. So we get Duran fighting at a catch weight tonight, right?
Yeah, he weighed in at 193 or something like that?
They're fighting at 194.5, both fighters.
Oh, okay. I saw the thing. The guy, when Duran's only 5'6", so
Right.
kind of wrestling, jiu-jitsu. What's it? Jiu-jitsu black belt, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
That's always been a challenge. He's strong as hell. He's an accomplished wrestler, but when people are really tall, they try to use that against him. I've noticed that.
But when he fought at heavyweight when he first started. He was smashing all the heavyweights.
He was. He's strong as hell, right?
Yeah, smash him. So I wouldn't look at this guy as, Duran's in trouble. No.
I'm not saying that. I'm not.
No, I'm just saying. You're not saying that. I'm just saying that if people are thinking that he's so small, well, he fought bigger guys than this and he smashed them. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know much. I actually don't know anything about his opponent. Zero. I didn't even know the name. No one's told me nothing. So
Antonio Arroyo. He's at 194 pounds.
What's his record?
He's 9 wins, 3 losses. He's 6 feet tall, 185 pounds normally. His last fight was a loss to Andre Muniz, who, like I said, there's people we don't know who they are right now, or they might be big enough.
So you can assume the winner moves on. The loser is getting walking papers.
So yeah, he's got 2 Dana White's Contender Series wins, and then he lost his first UFC fight. That's Antonio. Okay, and then Duran
had lost his last 2.
Right. Duran had a submission in his last fight from Mearshart, but now and then he had a decision on the fight before that. But up until then, he had been winning, and just trying
to get back. Well, he got to get back on the winning track. So he's back up against the wall.
Yeah,
so he's going to be at his most dangerous, and he utilizes his great wrestling. He should smash this guy if he utilizes his great wrestling. If he goes out there and becomes the striker, it's not so good. But if he goes out there and becomes the wrestler phenom that he is, then he'll do great.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It's like the ultimate interview, right? When you're like 2 fights on your back and you're like, whew, imagine fighting for your job, fighting for your supper. I mean,
He's
fighting better than anybody, right?
It's not a good feeling fighting for his job. And the other guy is too. I mean, they all know. They're not stupid. They know.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stick around, you better win. If you don't win, you're not going to be sticking around. Come on. When Dana makes those speeches, and all of a sudden, you're going to see a lot of people going to get cut, just like he said. And maybe they won't be announced, but they'll get cut.
Do you think Bellator is going to be sitting there with Noah's Ark for fighters, different weight classes?
No. If it fits their agenda, they'll take you. If not, they're building their own roster. I don't see them waiting for the UFC to give them drops here and there. No, I think if it's the right guy that fits the right formula for them, yeah. But I don't see them. Please cut this guy. I think they're preoccupied building their own, stars and doing what they need to do. But yeah, if somebody comes down that's going to help their promotion, why not?
Right. So yeah, I mean, they got to be of value. Like if you see Romero versus Rumble, that's an interesting fight.
There's a lot for Romero. That's one of those situations I'm talking about. Musashi Romero. I mean, Bader Romero. You know, I mean, you got a lot, bro. They got a lot. So there's a lot for Romero to keep him busy in Bellator. There really is. And there's fighters, you know, rematch, and then there's fighters he hasn't fought before.
Right.
So Romero was in a situation where he's going to have 3, 4, 5 fights out of that place.
He's got Rumble. He's got Rumble too.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I forgot about Rumble, which makes it even more exciting.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. That was somebody alluded. I was reading some articles like somebody alluded that the reason they didn't pick up Rumble was because the cost of Rumble, and like they're looking at their financial cuts, and he's like, I'll go to Bellator or whatever. Like, we're cool. Like it was a peaceful departure with the UFC.
Yeah.
So maybe he got to the front of the list early and said, yeah, we could go this way, but I think I want to go this direction. Because there's so much for him such a mountain to climb right now with Ngannou and all these other people at the top, you know, at the heavyweight. It's getting more competitive, right? So, yeah, just walk in right at the top of the mountain in the Bellator. That'll be exciting. Look forward to seeing him fight again. Well, thanks once again, Jav. It was good to see you. We'll make it more exciting next time for our improv podcast, but yeah, I'll tie it up. And